Welcome to Now Making Moves in Real Estate, episode 66. I'm your host, Michelle, aka The General, alongside with my co-host, Courtney Twiss. And today we're joined by Wendy Forsythe, Chief Marketing Officer of eXp Realty, where she leads global marketing strategy and helps drive brand visibility and innovation across the company's worldwide agent network. Wendy brings more than 2 decades of leadership experience in real estate, having held executive roles at companies including Compass, Fathom Realty, and HomeSmart International, where she played a key role in scaling brand recognition and market growth. Well, she's also now the author of a brand new book, Leverage Your X Factor, the 6-step framework to scale your real estate business and reclaim your life, where she shares a powerful system designed to help agents build businesses that align with their strengths and their lives, not just their workload. Please help us in welcoming Wendy Forsythe.
Thank you, Michelle. Oh, that's awesome. I always love it when people read like bios. It's such an uncomfortable, few moments of a conversation, but I appreciate it.
We have to brag on you, although it probably could have went on for much longer because you are so accomplished.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Wendy, you've had an incredible career in real estate leadership across obviously major companies. When you look back on your journey that led you to becoming the CMO at eXp Realty, what were some of the pivotal moments that shaped your path?
Oh, goodness. I mean, such a loaded question.
We got some good ones for you.
You got some good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many pivotal moments. I mean, where do you want me to start? So let's start at the beginning, right? I never could have imagined when I started my career as an agent in my early 20s that I would be having a conversation like this with you guys today. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about a real estate career. And it's one of the things I tell people today starting out is that this industry will open up doors of opportunity that you never could have imagined. Just lean into it and push those doors open. And that is one of the things that I have always done. I have tried to push those doors open. I have tried to find those doors to push open along the way. And I've tried to step through those doors. And sometimes that worked out. Not always. There's been some missteps along the way, but the opportunities have been there. And this is an industry that has ample opportunity to build a life that is bigger than probably any of us ever imagined starting out. So we're very fortunate to be in this industry.
I agree. Remind me what year you transitioned from being in the sales side to doing more of the, leadership or
the corporate side. I crossed over into the dark side of corporate real estate.
Exactly.
It was in the late 90s. So I had my own real estate brokerage in the late 90s, and I sold that business. And at the time, I was a franchisee of a franchisor in Canada, which is where I started my career. And you had to get permission to, I had to assign my franchise contract to the new owner of my business. And the franchisor called me, and in Canada, it was a company called Royal LePage, which is a dominant company in the Canadian market still today. The leadership that had to approve my franchise transfer called me right away and said, "What are you doing next?" And as a franchisee, I had, won several awards and had been involved in the events and franchise council and things. And I was sort of a token young female franchise owner. So you can imagine that got a little bit of attention, back in the late 90s. So I got the call, "What are you doing next?" And I said, "Look, I don't know. I want to travel. I want to, do some things. I want to sell some real estate." I had started building a team. I was an owner who was also in production. I said, "I want to, build out my team." And they said, "Well, would you be interested in a corporate role?" And part of my sale was I needed to stay on in a non-compete for a period of time to help, the new owners of my brokerage make sure everything went smoothly. So I said, like, well, I have to do this, which they were fully aware of. But they said, when the non-compete ends, like, would you be interested? And it required a move from my hometown where I was born, raised, went to college in Nova Scotia, Canada, to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And part of the motivation for me selling my brokerage business was I wanted to travel and I wanted to experience kind of the world. And so when that sort of opportunity came to move into this corporate role, I jumped at it. So I made that move. And I think that was the year 2000 was kind of when I then sort of like stepped out of real estate sales and into my first corporate position, which was a little bit like hitting a brick wall.
Well, I was thinking about how you said you wanted to travel. Hopefully you still want to travel because you sure travel a lot.
Yes. But it was a different mindset of like not wanting to. I remember having a pivotal conversation with my dad, who has been a wonderful mentor for me throughout my career and still is. But I knew at that point, if I didn't leave my hometown, I probably was going to be there my entire life.
Mm.
And so part of the motivation of kind of selling the business, taking this role in another province, moving, across the country, was kind of getting so far outside of my comfort zone and taking such a big risk. And I remember my dad saying to me, you can always come home, but go out there and see that great big world and take the risk because you can always come home. Now's the time.
Mhm.
Build that great big life and go see. And I've carried that advice. Like when I repeat those words, I hear his voice saying those words. And I've taken a few of those big jumps. Moving from Canada to the US was another one of those big jumps in my career. And those words, and we had similar conversations when I made that move. And then, there's been a few times throughout my career where I've made those like big risks, and they've paid off every time.
Well, I mean, obviously they've paid off in dividends because you're the CMO of eXp Realty. I mean, international global brokerage. And I'm just curious to share with our listeners a little bit about what your day looks like in that role, because it must be slightly diverse and very busy.
It is very diverse and it's very busy. So a typical day starts between 4:30 and 5 a.m. I get up, I have a cup of coffee. So I am very much a morning routine person. I believe in a morning routine, but it's a cup of coffee with my amazing husband. I check in kind of on the world, so to speak. So I do tend to spend that first kind of half hour with coffee, husband, and phone and puppy dogs. So that is the first sort of half hour of the day. Then I exercise. So from kind of like 5 to 6 is like either running, walking, or going to the gym. I'm doing some sort of like exercise. Whatever I'm doing, I'm always listening to something during that time. So I'm a big Audible or podcast fan. So I'm sort of feeding my mindset during that hour. And that just helps me get focused and lasered focused for the day. So I'm getting my body moving. I'm getting my mindset in the right day. Energy is getting high. Back showered, ready. I'm at my desk by, 6:45, 8 o'clock. And of course we work remotely. So my desk is, literally, in my home. But we're rolling from that point. So from that point on, it is phone calls, it's video calls, and it's very diverse. I mean, it's everything from talking to, agents that may be considering joining eXp to working with my team on, initiatives that we're working on for the marketing team, from working cross-functionally with other teams within EXP on projects and initiatives that we're working on, to doing things like this, and helping, all of our agents, to doing, other media things that we might be doing, to working to build the EXP brand. It's very diverse. We wear a lot of hats.
I can imagine. I am curious because I listen to a lot of podcasts too. What is your favorite podcast?
I have a bunch. I very much enjoy Layla Hamosi. So I like her podcast a lot. I listen to Neil Patel. His marketing school podcast is a favorite that I listen to. I listen to Amy Porterfield. Her marketing podcasts is one that I listen to like all the time, is a favorite. I listen to the real estate podcast. So I listen to Housing Wires podcasts. I listen to Tom Ferry podcasts. I listen to Brian Buffini podcasts. Like I have like the standard rotation of everything that's sort of happening in real estate. I listen to John Cheplack's podcast. I consume a lot of content of what's happening in the real estate world. Like I am a real estate content junkie. I want to know what are the Jared James of the world? What are the coaches? What are the content creators? What are they talking about? What are they doing? What is the pulse of how we can offer value to our agents? That helps us from a marketing perspective as marketers. It helps us from a messaging perspective as the brand, because we're messaging to all of you every single day. We put out so much content on our own personal social, on the brand accounts. We have to consume a lot of content.
So speaking of the real estate market and in the industry as a whole, there's a lot of noise with social media, branding, AI. We know you're like a huge AI aficionado for sure. But from your perspective, what do you think agents are spending way too much time on right now that actually isn't moving the needle at all?
Good question. I mean, it's hard to answer from a blanket perspective, right? If we were having a coaching conversation about your particular business, I would look at your business, ask you a few questions. I would do an audit on your business and particularly what I saw from a social media perspective. And that would help me give a more specific answer. So, because it would be different. It might be different for you, Michelle, than it would be for you, Courtney, than it would be like for another agent. But in generalities, sometimes what I see is agents who are not being unique enough in the content they're putting out. So speaking from a social media perspective in what goes out there, I see agents put a lot of content out, but it's just so generic that like anybody could put it out there. It doesn't help me know anything about Michelle or Courtney or Wendy or Joe or Sally or Sue. Like any of us could put that out there. So what makes it unique? What makes working with Michelle any different than working with Courtney or working with Wendy? And that, to go back to, you had mentioned the book in your intro. Thank you for that. I like that plug. What is that X factor, right? People will be attracted to working with a particular agent based on a connection that they have with you. And if we're all generic, if we're all the same, the only thing that's going to set us apart is price. And if we're all competing on price, then that's not a fun world to live in and compete in, right? So the classic cliche phrase is you can compete on value or you can compete on price. And if we're not doing anything to distinguish ourselves based on value, if we're not leaning into our X factor, then we're only competing on price. And if the consumer only sees price as a differentiator, then we've just become a commodity as an industry. And we're already in a tough enough spot as an industry as it is. To just become a commodity based on price is not where we, as the professionals of this industry, should put ourselves. So that's why the uniqueness of the skills we have, the personalities we have, the abilities that we offer throughout the course of the transaction is our X factor that we all need to be building our brands around. And the more we do that, the more those uniquenesses set us apart and create the value that the consumer can understand. And then they relate to, oh, I see why they charge the commission they charge. It makes the pricing conversation much easier and almost unnecessary because we've built the value in the expertise that we offer.
Well,
Makes
so
sense. Yeah.
that's probably like a good segue into the book. Let's talk about the book because,
All right.
sounds like it's appropriate. Tell us a little bit about the why behind the book, what agents can expect to get out of it.
Yeah, I would love to. So let me start with the why. And we sort of touched on the why. So for years, I have observed agents come into the industry and work really, really hard. And you guys have known these agents. You've seen these agents. You've probably been at times on the brink of being this agent. You work so hard. You have everything it takes, but yet you're on the brink of that burnout. You're on the brink of, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And that breaks my heart to see that because it takes so much to get your license. You pour so much into it. And the industry does, as we talked about in the opening, give so much opportunity. You can have such a big, amazing career in this industry. But you've got to learn how to find the right framework for that success. And it's not something we really talk about in the industry. We talk about the hustle and the grind and the work more hours and the do more of this and prospect more of that. And that is not what ultimately creates longevity in people's career. It typically creates burnout, and it typically is what causes that amazing light that people start out with when they're so excited about their real estate career to dim. So the framework that I created with X Factor has 6 parts to it. It's focus, action, community, technology, operations, and resilience. And with that 6-part framework, if you can build your business around that framework, the idea is that your X factor, that superpower, that excitement will not burn out. And in today's market, where we have these 2 forces, and I think of it as like a rope, it's pulling on either side. One side is kind of what we were just talking about with marketing and social media and everything being with AI so available that it's so generic now. Everybody can write the perfect post with AI. Everybody can create the perfect graphic with Canva and all the design tools that we have. You've got to be unique. You've got to be on video. You've got to be creating your unique brand. That has added even more pressure to us. So our need for our X factor, our personal brand, is pulling that one end of the rope. And then the other end of the rope is that burnout factor. It's a tough market. It's a challenging time. The industry is changing. So the rope, we're getting pulled and pulled. We have to find a framework that allows us to be excited about our careers. Because if we're not excited, if we're not finding the joy every day in what we do, we're going to burn out and we're not going to have a long, fulfilling career that we're excited about. and we deserve more. So that's what the X factor is all about. And that's what leveraging your X factor is all about.
I love that. And I'm curious because, obviously a lot of our talks are on social media. What, if you had to pick like one platform that you think is the most critical to our success over the next 10 years, would it be YouTube or do you know? I mean, I feel like obviously the trends have been going all towards videos, but if we wanted to leverage our X factor,
Yes.
what
Yes.
platform should we focus on?
So 10 years is too long.
Okay.
And this is one of the things that I talk about in the book is that we have to think in shorter cycles. And in the book, I actually recommend that you think in terms of 90-day cycles because 90 days is long enough that you can have an impact, but short enough that you can pivot and you can see when things need to be changed because the world is changing so quickly. So think about social media to go to your question. Social media is changing so quickly. The algorithms change so quickly that I might answer your question today and I might say, go all in on Instagram. Well, 90 days from now, something could change. There could be a whole new algorithm. There could be a whole new social media channel that could completely change that. For example, Facebook is making a resurgence. So a lot of the gurus are saying you may have moved away from Facebook. You might want to move back to Facebook. So, it changes so much. But right now, my answer would be for most of us, Instagram is having a huge, impact. But I wouldn't discount YouTube. I mean, YouTube is definitely, if you're doing sort of video, especially long form horizontal video, but then you want to chop that up and you want to put it over on Instagram. I would point you in a direction of maybe some channels that you're not using. And that would be if you haven't gotten involved in Substack, go look at Substack. So this is a newer social media channel that is getting a lot of leverage and it is feeding in well to the LLMs, so to ChatGPT and to Gemini. And a lot of the influencers are really leaning into Substack. So if you're early in, that is always really good, especially if you are a thought leader or a content creator, which I know both of you are. Substack is somewhere that you may want to go take a look at. Reddit as well. I mean, Reddit has been around forever. We kind of even when I say Reddit, I scrunched my nose up and got a look on my face. But Reddit and the LLMs are playing together, especially comments on Reddit. If you are a commenter on Reddit, ChatGPT loves Reddit. They're pulling info and sourcing Reddit for all kinds of things. So as a real estate professional, if you go into Reddit, find the threads on your community and start contributing to information on your local community as the real estate expert. And then when somebody goes to ChatGPT and asks questions on Sacramento, Reddit will pull your answers as a contributor from Reddit and source you as the real estate expert on Sacramento in the answer in ChatGPT.
Okay, great homework. Substack, Reddit, do it.
I'm that's our gold nuggets for the day.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Before we wrap up, I did want to just ask, if an agent's listening today and feels like they're pushing up, that boulder uphill, working harder than ever, but not getting the results they want. And this is true with attraction as well. So speaking to those that are building revenue share organizations as well, what is the first step this person should do today to leverage their own X factor?
Get into action.
Okay.
And that's the second part of the framework. So focus and action. Those are the first two parts of the framework. So when you get into action, you start momentum. And I think part of what keeps us stuck is when we don't get into action. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like I'm not hitting the goals, I'm just not getting the results that I'm hoping to get, that I want to get, you've got to get into action. And that might be making the first call. That might be just reaching out to somebody. If you're looking to start to build your organization, if you want to try to find other agents to join you here at eXp and you're not sure what to do or what you've been doing doesn't seem to be working, reach out to somebody who is doing it well, who you admire. There's so many great attractors here at eXp. Get into action. Call one of those people, reach out to one of those people and say, hey, what would you do first? What did you do first? Have that conversation and then go do it. And then say to that person that you reached out to, can we talk next week? Will you hold me accountable to what we talked about doing today? Because when you get into action and when that action has accountability attached to it, you'll create momentum. Momentum will create results.
Mm-hmm. So good. I definitely think that that's for at least for me, just being full transparency. I'm one of those super OCD individuals, which can get in the way because you're just so fixated on things being done and doing it in a certain way, and it must be structured at this time, and then which is good. Ask the general. Okay.
Yes.
But then you're then sometimes you can't really even get moving because it just seems so big. So it's almost okay, maybe if I just am at peace with getting into action and being okay with maybe getting 80% of it done or chipping away at just the 10% just to get going.
Yes. Done is better than perfect, right?
Okay, but what about those of us that do too much action on too many different things?
That's why the first principle of the framework is focus.
Right.
So focus, then action. So you got to know what to focus on, right?
Mhm.
And that's why we start with focus as the first part of the framework, right? And the acronym is FACTOR, right? And that's where you kind of focus. You got to know what to focus on first, because if you're focusing on too many things and then you get into focusing on the wrong things, as you said, Courtney, you're going to have a problem there too. So you got to make sure you're focusing on the right things and then that you're getting into action on those things as well. So you hit the nail on the head. You got to have focus and make sure that you're focusing on the right things.
It's like a reminder of that 12-week year.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Michelle, the 12-week year.
Just the reminder of just stop focusing on all the stuff and just right there. I do want to mention before I forget, because I think this is important, every single dollar from the book sale, correct, is going to EXP, I believe,
Extend a hand. Yes.
So I'm actually would love to just learn more about that. And thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome. So Extend a Hand is our EXP charitable foundation, and we support EXP agents when they are in need. So it is for our agents when disaster strikes. And so, when you think of things that have happened in the last year, we had the LA fires, we had the hurricanes, we had dozens of our agents who were homeless. So we supported them with grants through Extend a Hand to help them with temporary housing, with rehousing, with, clothing, with food, with all the things that they just needed when they had nothing. And, we support our agents in various ways, even in between those two examples are sort of natural disasters, but there are other things that, happen in our agents' lives. So we raise money so that when our agents need us, they have us to lean on. So yes, so I'm a trustee on our Extend a Hand foundation, and I knew when I committed to doing the project, and I committed to the Extend a Hand board actually in January of 2025. I said, you guys, I have this idea for the book. I'm going to do this. I'm going to write the book in 2025, and the proceeds will go to Extend a Hand. And accountability, I mentioned, right? You got to take action, and then you got to like say it out loud so that people will hold you accountable. That was a big like gulp for me because I had no idea how I was going to write the book, when I was going to write the book, but I knew if I made the commitment to the board that I would have to find a way. And so I did. So all throughout last year, it was on airplanes, it was on vacation, it was a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. I worked with a book coach that helped me flush out the ideas. And I had like a meeting with him on a regular basis that we sort of went through it. And yeah, so that was a commitment that I made, that I wanted to be part of, our fundraiser for Extend a Hand, because we know that agents are not good with those rainy days, right? With having money put aside for those rainy days. And that's what Extend a Hand is for. So I'm very excited that we'll be able to help raise funds to make sure that we're here to help our agents when they need us.
Great. Great. Yeah. Wow. Well, Wendy, we so appreciate you coming on here and joining us. It was great seeing you last week in Cabo and great seeing you again now and all that you're doing. You're so inspirational to Michelle and I.
Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much. I so enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Wendy. You've been so supportive. I mean, we've only been with EXP for what, two and a half years?
Mm-hmm.
And so just the fact that you take time to help the agents in this robust company. I mean, there's just a few of us here.
Just a few of us.
Just a few of us. So we thank you for your support, and we're looking forward to the future. And speaking of the future, let's just have you close out with maybe kind of your vision for, where you think the real estate industry is going, and, what you see EXP doing to, the moves that we're going to be making. That would be great.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, that's a great closing question. So let's talk about the rest of 2026. It's going to continue to be a tough year for the industry, right? So from an economic perspective, hang on tight, work hard. It's going to continue to be a tough year. From an EXP perspective, we will continue to push forward at the forefront of the industry. We'll continue to double down on tools and services and marketing and support for all of you to go out there and compete in this market. Leverage the opportunity to build your listing inventory. I mean, even though we're seeing days on market go up, we're seeing listing inventory on market go up. This is an ideal market to build your brand through being a listing agent. So that would be, my advice to all agents is really double down on being a strong listing agent and leverage all of the tools that we have to help with that, whether it's from a marketing perspective, whether it's from our divisions, our luxury agent division, sports and entertainment. We just launched our new homes. If you work with builders, that's a great opportunity to take those specialty divisions. So we'll continue to pour into all of our agents for support on that. So I think that there is an adage that when the market is tough, that is when market share is gained. And that is what we believe for all of our agents at EXP is this is a time for all of us to work hard and gain market share. So that is what we'll all continue to focus on.
And then finally, sorry, Courtney, I'm just like,
Go for it.
I'm just the curious cat. I know I said finally on my last question, but this is just to like, go into one more final thought. So real estate is first, obviously, for the bulk of our company. But what about those that are focusing on attraction?
Mhm.
Speak to those agents that are, building a business of revenue share. And so what can those people focus on given what you just said about real estate industry?
Yeah, the best way to build your revenue share organization is through the skills of production, right? When agents are looking to make a move of brokerages, it is because they want to increase their production. Like that is the number one driver of making a move is I'm at 4 transactions and I want to get to 8 transactions. I'm at 8 transactions and I want to get to 12. I'm at 12, I want to get to 24. I'm a team leader doing, 40 transactions and I want to get my team to 80 transactions. I'm at a team of 12 and I want to increase my, cost per trans or my profit per transaction, right? Like, so it's always production driven. So if you're looking to provide value as an attractor, do it from a production standpoint. So lead through that expertise you have as a producer. That will help you attract other producers through your organization. And when you look at our best attractors, it is because they are expert producers. Even the ones that may or may not be producing anymore still lead attraction through production. It's because of the years that they were producers. They're still so skilled at sitting at the kitchen table and doing the listing presentation. They're still so skilled at how to handle the objection. We mentioned Cabo last week. You saw the people on the stage. They still knew how to do every single objection handling technique there was out there cold. Like I'm like Gene Fredericks. Like, I don't know the last time Gene Fredericks may have done a deal, but like I would take Gene Fredericks out to negotiate a deal with me any single day, right? Like the man is like an expert. So lean into that because what people want is they want to partner with people that will help them grow their business. So lead with value and demonstrate for them how you will help them grow their business. That is the best way you will attract people to your organization.
There's our game plan for the year, Michelle.
Well, Courtney, why don't you just close us up so we can thank her once again and all the details on where to find her.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy. We really appreciate you. We'll obviously have this on our YouTube channel as well as all Apple, Spotify. But where can people find you? What's the best way to follow you and to get access to your new book?
Yes, so you can find me on my website, wendyforsythe.com. Follow along on social media at Brand Wendy on Instagram is the best place. All the links everywhere else you can find off of Instagram. And you can find the book on Amazon, Leverage Your X Factor.
Awesome. Thanks, Wendy.
You're
Appreciate you.
welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Wendy.